Paula P works here, and this is One Design, where I cover One Piece characters' designs and where they may be going in the future in the narrative. Today, keeping with our Blackbeard Pirates theming, we're going to go with the captain of the 8th ship, the heavy drinker, known as Vasco Shot. Vasco Shot, so far in the story, doesn't have a lot to his name and not too many designs, but he does have two very interesting ones. Of course, we see him at the tail end of the pre-time skip once he's released from Impel Down, and we have him in his prison garb, like how a lot of the guys that Blackbeard picked up are wearing. Unlike Catherine and Devon, there's nothing really interesting about his prison garb, other than, of course, he's carrying a big gourd of sake on his back because, of course, he's a drunkard. And that's the only thing we really know about him at this point, is that he's a drunkard. Now, the funny part is that I don't know if the thing on his head is a hat or if that's his hair. And I know a while back, and this is going on about 10 years now, many people think, and I think some still do, that he is a blobfish fishman because he has these weird piercings going down either side of his neck. And of course, he has a big bulbous nose, which is funny that Blackbeard keeps recruiting people that kind of look like him. That's just a funny observation. He just has piercings on his neck because he's a weirdo. I don't think there's anything too special about it. People get piercings in weird places. That's not anything too groundbreaking, nor did it really tells us anything about his racial alignment. However, in the post-time skip is where things sort of get rolling. There's this odd period when we see him and Catherine Devon and Blackbeard invading Amazon Lily. We get his first initial design out of prison, and he looks really weird because he's just sporting overalls and a shirt that's very reminiscent of his prison guard. It's not black and white, but it's blue and yellow, as the anime shows us, but it's still like a striped shirt. So it's really weird, but he does have pearls on, so he is embracing the whole piratey aesthetic. So that's cool, like that. Now, this is also seemingly the start of his crazy clown era, because from a shot in the anime, we see that he's also wearing the purple lipstick, so he's really embracing the aesthetic now. Also, what's weird is that he has these overalls with this blood stain going down them. I don't know what that's about. It's super weird, but it's kind of interesting to show you that he is unhinged. It just hasn't bubbled up to the surface. However, that's not really the interesting point. The interesting point is when we get to Pirate Island, where Garp and the boys are invading in order to save Kobe, right? We see Vasco Shot, and Vasco Shot is, well, yeah, something happened to him, because in the times we've seen him before, he's a happy drunk and a bit of a lecher, but still a happy drunk, even though in Amazon Lily we see that he is quite problematic. But he's jovial. In this section here, he is not. He has become a killer clown from outer space. He has gone off the deep end. Now, this, I think, is due in part to him now being a devil fruit user with the power of the Gabu Gabu no Mi, or the Glug Glug fruit, which means to gulp down alcohol. He is also described as a booze man or a liquor human. Okay? I think two things could have happened to him, or at least one of two things. Two schools of thought on this. One, because of the Glug Glug fruit, and we don't necessarily know what it does at this point. However, I think because of the Glug Glug fruit, like Mr. Leggy from Trailer Park Boys, he has become the liquor. Meaning he can never get drunk because he is the concept of drunkenness. Which puts him in this purgatory of never being able to enjoy alcohol ever again, which is crazy for someone whose epithet is the heavy drinker. Very sad, very scary, which explains his demeanor at this point in the narrative. On the flip side, he's always drunk because he is the liquor. So one side, we can say that he can never get drunk because he's the liquor, or on the other side, he's always drunk because he is a liquor human, which means he can never have a hangover. He can never recover out of this state of being inebriated, of being intoxicated, which means he's trapped in a prison of his own making after having eaten the fruit. That is also equally as scary, in a perpetual state of just days when your vice has become your prison, which is oddly poetic and very scary. Now, we've kind of gone off the deep end. I want to bring it back a little bit to some basic stuff real quick. So his name is Vasco Shot, right? So his last name is Vasco. His first name is Shot. This is probably a play on Tabasco, which is just like a food. But there's also a guy who has the surname Vasco, who's a real person. His name is Vasco da Gama, who was an explorer. So his name can either derive from a corruption of the word Tabasco, which is a food, or this Spanish explorer whose name is Vasco da Gama. The guy is depicted wearing black, so it's on brand. He has a beard, and Vasco Shot is pretty clean shaven even after his fall into madness after eating the glug glug fruit. So I'm not sure that it is based on him. Another thing, getting back to the glug glug fruit, is that his nose has become permanently darkened after eating the fruit, which is a common trope of drunkenness that's depicted in many characters. And this is called rhinophema. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but rhinophema is a condition causing development of a large bulbous nose, which is associated with drinker's nose, as it's also called. So rhinophema, such as a drinker's nose or whiskey nose, is due to the condition often being wrongly connected with alcoholism. It's an actual condition that's associated with alcoholism, but not necessarily because of alcoholism. However, due to the cartoon-like nature of One Piece, and seeing as how he doesn't have a darkened nose before eating the glug glug fruit, I think this is shorthand to say that because he's eating the glug glug fruit, he has now adopted this sort of cartoon attribute that's often associated with alcoholism. Though the truth is it's not. But in his case, it most likely is, because it's a shorthand way to show that he is presumably perpetually in a drunken state, or has become drunkenness. Another funny thing about him in relation to the Straw Hat Pirates cook Sanji is that he is able to harness pyrokinesis, because after eating the glug glug fruit, he can spit out fire, which is very cool because drinking alcohol is often associated with fire breathing. And it's, if I'm not mistaken, often used as a carnival trick, which makes sense because he looks like a clown. So that is on brand for him. However, thinking about his development moving forward, it's also very funny that Sanji himself has a lot of attacks named Shot, and Shot is Vasco Shot's actual name. Now, the term shot can also relate to a small glass of alcohol. So again, we're on brand with the food thing. If you want me to hypothesize here, I think it's very likely that he is the cook of the Blackbeard pirates, and he prepares meals with alcohol. If you're familiar with Toriko, I believe there was a character in that manga and anime who was also famous for cooking exclusively with alcohol. So most likely that's Vasco Shot's specialty, seeing as how he's the only character in the organization whose name relates specifically to food. So with that being said, that's about all I have for today. See you in episode 4. Give me your thoughts.